this is research that an American researcher, Moshe Solomono, had touched on about a decade or two ago. And this is also research that a professor of neurology, Thomas Graven Nielsen in the States, had wrote a 24-page paper on referred pain. You know, the nice thing about social media is that you can stalk people and you can bug them until they give you what you want in order to make you go away. And that's it's essentially what I did with Professor Graven Nielsen. It's like, hey, I found him on LinkedIn because I thought, you know, I've got these posters and I've got these referral patterns and I know about how other people figured those out, but I don't know how it works. I don't know how referred pain works. I know how radiating pain works. I know that, you know, if you get a tunnel compression on a nerve or a disc, you know, compression or something like that, you know, or an osteophyte, I know how that works, but referred, I don't know. So I got to look it up because someone's going to ask me. So I found him on LinkedIn and I just hounded him like, dude, you're the guy. I need to know. So he was incredibly kind and gracious, and we had amazing communication back and forth. And he sent me his 24-page paper, which was awesome. So, so ligamental muscular reflex. We know that from Robert Schleip's work and from the researchers from the fascial and from oh my god, that we all in our education we have our anatomy books, and it isolates and it breaks down everything into its own section, its own system. So you have the muscular system, the skeletal system, ligamentous system, the neurological system, vascular system, and we all think that they're all separate. So we all think that they run. In reality,
well, we just had a little
of similar tissues with different densities and different functions. So these tissues, they run in series with one another. So you can't separate a ligament from a fascial tissue or from a muscle tissue. There's only 5 ligaments in the human body that meet the actual description of bone to bone. There's only 5. So this will be, how about we do this? This will be a quiz. Okay. And whoever wins the quiz gets a free book. How about that?
Yeah, well, okay. So we'll definitely put that into there. You've got to be able to name the 5 and then link it in, and then I'll send that through to you. And it's first in, best dressed. So
I'll give you a bit of a hint. There's 2 on one side of the body and 2 on the other side of the body, and they're basically they are the exact same ligaments. It's just that there's 2 over here and there's 2 over there, kind of like you have 2 wrists and 2 elbows. Yeah. So there's 4 of those, and then there's 1 somewhere else. Okay. And I'll give you another hint just to make it not so hard, but it is the main ligamentous tissue that is involved with severe rheumatoid arthritis patients.
Oh, wow. Okay. So 4 and then 1 and then rheumatoid arthritis. So remember that, guys. Yeah. That's very cool. Yeah. I'll be looking that up too because I'm going to get that book.
so getting back to the ligamental muscular reflex and Jaap van der Wal's research, we know that there's a monosynaptic and a polysynaptic neurological pathway. The monosynaptic, it bypasses the spinal cord and it just goes from ligament to muscle tissue through that efferent afferent pathway. Yeah. And for example, if you're, like when I was out dancing and I was wearing my heels and I twisted on my heels a little bit, you go for that ankle inversion sprain. The joint tissue sends a message to the peroneals and gastrocs, the hamstrings. It sends it all the way up to actually your suboccipitals, and it says, hey, our ankle's about to invert sprain. We'd like some help here. So all those tissues, they tighten up to try and stabilize that joint. And then obviously, you roll your ankle and you've sprained your ankle. So that's a monosynaptic pathway. Now, when we get our patients 6 months later, 6 years later, a decade later, where they're still suffering with dysfunction and discomfort in that ankle, that's a polysynaptic pathway. So now that's engaging in supraspinal thoughts, beliefs, things like that with their patients, and so on and so forth. And that's where you get that sort of protective armoring mechanism that we see with the hypertonicity, the peroneals, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's a very, very, very long-winded explanation of ligamentomuscular reflex, but that's how it is.